I just loved it. Now, everyone was putting in my comment sections, go to this museum. I can't believe it doesn't compute to me that you would tell someone to go to a museum. Like, yeah, that's the thing you do when you're in a city. They're major attractions. But guess what? I didn't really fucking care about museums. And you can yell at me all you want. I've been to every museum in Paris, and it was always the worst part of my trip. I'm not really a visual art person, but I will go and I will appreciate. And I saw a couple things. But I actually went to the concert ball and saw Schubert in the smaller theater, which is more like for chamber music. And that was what I wanted to do. And I wanted to go to the Anne Frank house, and I ended up going. I'll tell you that story in a minute. So I'm at the concert brow, and I go, and it's just me and old people. And I loved it. I played piano for 12 years. I used to play Moonlight Sonata by memory. Don't even fuck around, people. Loved my teacher, Mrs. Fish. One year I gave her a present. It was a notepad that it was a pun on shopping list, and it said Chopin Liszt, Lazst, another composer. Anyway, I was pretty proud of myself for that gift. Who knows where I got it? There was no Amazon back then. You actually had to go out and find things with puns on them. So, the best part about Mrs. Fish was, so she was my piano teacher, literally like a sitcom where they're always referencing a character you never see. Like Home Improvement. I think the neighbor, you can only see his hat above his nose. Mr. Fish was always in the other room, and they lived in a small house. I mean, maybe like a 5-room, 1-level house. And my mother used to tell me, Mr. Fish has emphysema. He could die any minute. He can't breathe, so he doesn't come out. And I would always just sit there listening for, like waiting to hear a death rattle. But I never did. I don't even know how true that was. Like maybe he just wasn't home, or maybe he was making himself scarce because it was a small house. But my mother had told me that he was dying in the other room. I'm sure the truth was somewhere in the middle. But Mrs. Fish was incredible. And she would just get so excited. And she really loved me. And I was really more into dancing then than I was piano. And I think she wanted me to care more about piano than I did. I cared plenty. And I wish I cared more then too, because that's a skill you can kind of bring into comedy. I guess dancing too. But anyway, I didn't know any of this comedy shit was going to be happening. So every year she had a recital, but she called it a piano party. And she'd make her famous punch, which was just ginger ale with sherbet ice cream in it, which I don't mean to downplay. It was fucking great. And she had her students play, and you'd have like your 6-year-old who's like clink, clonk, clunk. And then the more advanced students, as we got older, I was like the one that went last, the headliner, if you will. And then when we'd be done with the recital, maybe like 30 people in the living room in folding chairs. Mr. Fish, again, not there. So maybe he was dying. I don't know. Because why wouldn't he be allowed at the recital? Unless he was like some scary looking fucking dude. And she was like, you're going to scare the children and the teenage girl. So we would sit there, and then she'd go, well, that's the end of the recital. Thanks for coming. And she'd sort of like make her outro really slow. And inevitably somebody would shout out, Mrs. Fisher, you going to play? And there were always these 5 asshole adults who would roll their eyes like, oh, come on, we were almost out of here. And they didn't want to hear her play because they didn't appreciate piano, but everyone else did. And she would go, oh, me play? Oh, I mean, maybe, okay. And then she'd wear these dresses like Eunice from Mama's Family, but not in a sexy way. Just everything was very sheer and orange and ruffly, not sheer like see-through, but ruffly. And she would sit down, and she would just, amazing. It was incredible. I loved watching her play. And I think I have cassette tapes of the piano parties. She gave, I just remembered this. I feel like I'm going to cry. She gave them to my mom when she died. I mean, she died and then came back as a ghost and gave my mom some cassettes. She left them in a little miniature will to my mom, to give to me. See, you don't appreciate shit like that when you're younger. She died when I was 21. I was like, I gotta go to a funeral. I'm hungover. And now I'm like, she left the tapes to me. Anyway, my point is, I enjoy some classical music. I am not a shitty audience member at shit like this. So I'm sitting there and I'm taking pictures. Now, there's no flash. I mean, I don't know who in this day and age doesn't understand that when you see an iPhone, you don't assume, oh my God, a flash is going to go off. And I was taking pictures of the concert hall before the concert started. And so was the woman next to me on the right. The woman next to me on the left kept looking over. Again, I wasn't doing it in an inconvenient way. I was like this. I wasn't like, you know, and everything in Amsterdam so far had been English and oh my God, Dutch. And this was the first time that it was just no English at all. And the guy came out and introduced everyone. He's like, blinken, schlanken, blue. And everyone came out, and the program was no English, no English. And so I think everyone around me, I don't think spoke English. I don't know why I'm adding that into it. But it's at least the two people next to me did not join in English when I started talking to them in English. So I take some pictures. Again, the people had not started playing yet. There was no flash. There was no rule that I could see about no photography, although maybe he made an announcement, but I couldn't understand it. And then I put my phone away, airplane mode. And then they did a quick changeover where like more people came out. And they were all standing on the stage in a line getting ready to sit. And so I wanted to get their pictures. They weren't even sitting yet to play their instruments. And I took my phone out, and the woman next to me slapped my hand down. And I was like, and I just reacted. Like, it was like my true soul was coming out, because again, anytime I go to another country, I'm nice for like 3 days. And then just like American asshole comes out, and I smacked her hand back. And she looked at me, and I went, and I went, I just was motioning. And then I took a picture, and she motioned to me. She goes, like, it gets in their eyes. I go, there's no flash on this. I go, mind your business. And then the woman next to me puts her camera down. I go, no, you take a picture. They haven't started playing it. I go, don't let this one see you, though. And she's looking at me like, I don't speak English, but I can tell by your body language that you're ranting and fucking raving. So that was it. And I just sat there during the last half, just angry. And the woman was literally looking at me out of the corner of her eye. So I just had my middle finger on my lap like a child.